KC, you gonna take a big dump? Is that what you're gonna do? All right. So my other parts did come in. I printed off some sheets, but actually the Yukon gears that I bought gave me all the info for the Dana 44. And these were the special shims that I was waiting for to set the preload. I also picked up a ARB service kit. These are the 2 bearing races that hopefully they're the same ones. Because if they aren't, that's gonna be sad, but no. These are the ones. Got the bearings, got the races. Clean up this. Get her set up, back together. Few minutes, Tomcat will probably want to come in. When I was at the parts store, they had big cans of brake cleaner, the non-chlorinated type, which you could use when it comes to welding. There were $3.66 a can, so I picked up 3 of those. Since I don't have a parts washer, I'm gonna have to use some brake cleaner on there to clean it up. So now this weekend, I'm ultimately deciding what my fate is gonna be. Work wants me to work 5 days a week. I don't want to. I want to work my 4 days a week. I got enough passive income coming in on the side that I technically don't need to work at all. I could survive off of it. My goal is eventually just to work winters and have my summers off. But I think my contract ends in a week. And I think I'm going to be picking up my toolbox, coming home for the summertime, and then figure shit out in the fall, because I've had probably 3 companies contact me already inquiring if I'm looking for work. And these are companies that I applied to well over a year ago, and the pandemic was going strong and a bunch of layoffs. And find it kind of weird that all of a sudden starting to call, but it is what it is. Let's get started on this. That out. Take that out. I need to So I was thinking in the back of my head how I was going to get the seal out, but it's already half out. You see on the opposite side, there is a small hole there, and it had some parts of a seal that were stuck in there. So I was using an air gun to try to blow that out. And when I was blowing it out, I felt the seal kind of press up against my chest. So I think that's how I'm gonna finish blowing that out. It's gonna point it and then blow some more air through it and see if I can knock her out even more. I mean, honestly, I could probably fish it right now like this, get it out pretty easy, but I'm gonna blow some compressed air through it. So I'm gonna go back where that hole is. Yeah, I just felt that seal pop. Put the air gun back up there. I can definitely feel this. Oh, yeah, there we go. There we go. So this is one thing I do want to point out, and this is going to be pretty important if you are rebuilding your air locker. I'll try to find this flashlight here. So you can kind of see in there. So that's a tube that your air goes through. Now coming straight up, inside right there, you see that there's a set screw that's been Loctited in. So that's obviously been drilled all the way through. So you can get the air through, and then same with this top piece, it's drilled all the way through. So you have to be able to blow air through here clearly to come out there. Now I had some bits of seal in there, and I had some other gunk in there that was preventing that from going, so I was blowing through. And this is a carburetor tool that I was using to fish out the debris, so I'm going to show you. Either way, I need to Need to blow all that crap out of there. Because if I don't have this thing good and cleaned, we're gonna be doing this all over again. Now theoretically I should be able to grab my air gun, and that probably lines up with that hole. Yeah, just so I could blow it. So I'm going to put the new seal in, but I'm going to lubricate the sides here. I'm also lining up the ends here of where the old one lined up. So hoping I can get this to squeeze back in there nicely without any kind of issue. Just got to get her started. There we go. Push her down with the grease. I'm also going to throw some assembly grease right down there. That's where the other part of that bearing will ride. So we're going to drop that in there as such. There we go. Brake clean the crap out of this stuff best as I can. These should come out retrospectively. Come on. Come on. There. So the interesting thing is, once you pull this one out, that center section will actually drop right out. So I'm gonna knock that out the side, that out the side. This is gonna come out, and then these bearings are going to come out, and then this piece in the center section should come out as well. There we go. Everything's out. Everything's all been cleaned by brake clean. Then use the assembly grease on it and put it all back together. Start by putting some down in the bottom there. That's where one part of the bearing's going to have to ride. That's where the second one's going to have to ride. This is my piece. Both halves of that. Throw that in there. Toss that in there. Spin that freely. Now comes the fun part. I'm going to lubricate every spot that those little bearing shims are going to ride. And they just ride on a layer of oil. So I'm going to stick those back on their respected cells, and they spin freely. Spin that there like that. Now this is where the fun begins. Gonna stick one in there. Gonna get one through, and then put one on there. Now this is where I'm gonna put some Loctite on this so we don't have the same issue we did first time. Now the final one, feed it in, got the pin. Try to line up the holes, slide it through, line it up, flip it over. Loctite the shit out of it. And that's all together. Spinning over with assembly grease so I don't have to worry. The last thing I gotta do now is put those little springs in. Use those two little clamps to bolt her down. And then I might be able to apply some air to it and see if it's gonna lock properly. If I go through all that work and it doesn't lock properly, then we're gonna have some issues. Because these little springs, I don't know if these springs must be the old version. Looks like they got a wave spring for the new one as far as I know. Put the two tiny set screws in there. But I don't have to worry about Loctiting those because the gear will hold those in place. That makes me feel good that the piston seal is good. I don't even know if there's anything wrong with this one. I just may keep it as a backup. You just never know. But that's been tested. A little hard to try to squeeze air in that little hole, but you can hear the piston seal kind of move in there, and then I just use something in the backside to turn. Yeah, so it definitely works. Pretty happy with that. Now I need to take that pinion, make some setup bearings. Now I need to get that pinion bearing off. There's not too much meat to grab there, but can make something work. Get the yellow cup on it now that they are spaced apart. There we go. That made a big difference. That made a big difference. We're off. We are off. Bearing is out. On pinion shim. Now I'm gonna die grind the heck out of that and make a setup bearing. Same with on this side too, so those can go in and out easy. So this is the new pinion right here. I just made my setup bearings, and what you do is you die grind out the inside to remove the interference fit and then polish it, so that way when you're fitting it up you can just slide the bearings on and off. This will get you close. You will obviously have to set it up with the real bearings afterwards, and then you may even have to replace one if you damage it, if you have to pull it on and off. But that is essentially what I did. And then I made this one here. This is for the carrier bearing, so that way when I press it on I can use this as the actual press part. That's all set up. Now I'm kind of stuck on there, but you get the idea. All right, now we need to start assembling everything. Wish my garage was 10 feet wider and 12 feet longer, but struggle's real here. Struggle is definitely real. So I got the press set up there. Press the bearings on afterwards. But right now I have to get set up with the gear. Still get it heated up. Well, actually I gotta file the top of it first because I want to get rid of any burrs that might be up top. And got the powder coating oven here because we got to heat it up to about 200 degrees. And that way it'll expand the metal in the ring gear here that'll be able to slide over the carrier. But I need to check out on Tomcat because I noticed he was starting to limp today. He's favoriting his front paw, but he seems to be running around like a wild kitty. Doms, you have an injured foot. You need to be careful. You're not a little kitty anymore. You're 18 years old. You're 18, Doms. I know. You're an old kitty. And I know you don't want to hear that. But you're favoriting that paw right there. I know. You gotta take it easy. Are you ready to go inside? Or do you want to stay out? Do you want to go inside? And there's some treats in there for you. Your diabetic treats. I know, Doms. This is a single cut file, so you can't drag it back. If it's a double cut, then I could. That's why I'm going in these strokes. Alright, so underneath, for the ARB install, there was no oil drains installed, so I'm just going to cut a little groove in there. And I'm just going to use this little 2-inch grinder. Don't have to be crazy. Just cut a little bit above the bottom of the tube, so it does have some oil in there. There we have it. Got 2 little grooves cut. Still got to clean out the axle tubes. Clean out here. Put the races in. While that bearing is, or the ring gear is still cooking, which should be almost done by now. Alright, well, we're going to try this again. Been in there for about 20 minutes, 200 degrees. I want to get these all snug down first. And then tighten them on for real once it cools down. Some red Loctite on there. The reason why I did it this way is because if you put it on hot, the metal's expanded and it might weaken the bond as it cools and shrinks. So if I just remove the bolts once it's cool and then Take them all out. Loctite them all back in. Torque them. Moving through the country. Gonna eat a lot of peaches. Start the torque off at a smaller value. And then work her up. Work it up. Now, one thing I want to point out is that your ring gear, depending on what your setup is, could have 3 different sizes: 3/8 bolts, 7/16, 1/2 inch. So if you're using 1/2 inch, I believe it's like 100 and some foot-pounds of torque. Mine were the 7/16, so obviously the torque is going to be a little bit lesser. Do it up in stages like I did, like between like 50, 70, then your final torque. That way it kind of compresses it evenly. Now I got to get the bearings on. Like a big slug. Push that all the way through. There we are. Push that through. All that crap. Get inside that tube. I'm so frustrated right now. I am ready to smash it. I designed a special race to press those bearings in. Had them all laid out. You know, I got my pinion bearings, setup bearings made right here. I had a race like this cut out so I could press those ones on. I don't know where the fuck it is. I don't know where the fuck it is. I understand my garage is a mess and that's not helping matters out. I just don't know what it is. I put something down, it disappears. So I'm just gonna cut this one apart, make another one, and probably gonna lose it. I'm gonna burn my fucking garage down. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna burn fucking everything. Burn everything to the ground. That's about how I feel right now. Okay. This is the fun part. Setting that up. To press down. You're probably not gonna be able to see much, but so I'm underneath here getting ready to put that bearing race in, but yeah, lo and behold, what fell on the floor and I was hunting high and low for. The struggles of working in a garage that's too small to do what you want to do. If you ever want to see if you got the bearing race in properly, you can always just look from the backside. That's pretty much it. Shut her down. That's all done. I really wanted to pull the studs out of that axle. Bearing race is in the differential. I guess tomorrow I can go ahead with startup. Definitely been a lot on my mind in this video, deciding what I want to do. Need to approach the situation next week in a diplomatic way. I can go either way, but we'll see what's gonna happen. I think it's motherfucking beer time though. I don't know what I feel like. I don't know what I feel like drinking. Maybe a red racer. All right, crack this one open. This is IPA. This is a light 4%. Not too bad. A lot of times these IPAs are pushing in 6, 7, 8%, but Thread Racer's always been pretty good. I like it. I like it. Remember back in the old days when I used to just drink lager or like a golden beer. And those are okay. Those are great for camping. But I've learned to appreciate a beer with a lot stronger taste. Much like my cigars. I like my cigars black. So, anyways, I'm hoping in the next video I get the carrier set up, everything back together, start driving this Jeep again. I'm a little behind in the timeline. I was hoping to get everything done. A lot of it is you budget some time, and of course, what people don't see, when you try to document or film something that takes 3 times as long as it should be, if I was just doing the job itself, not worrying about setting up cameras or filming, I probably would have been done by now and driving it, but it is what it is. Hoping tomorrow I'm going to get the gear set up, everything in, maybe get an axle back in, but who knows what can happen. Anyways, I'm going to shut her down. Motherfucking beer time. If you have any questions or comments, post them below. I'll see you in the next one.